Fellow Toastmasters, honored guest, Madam Toastmaster. In 2007, I made the brilliant, or not so brilliant, decision to walk away from a steady paycheck in pursuit of the American dream. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, I made a declaration. I was going to be successful in business, or I was going to go broke trying. Well, I can tell you, 2 foreclosed houses and a repossessed car later, I fulfilled on my declaration. I discovered that starting a business is not quite as simple as I first thought it would be. As of today, I'm back to paying the bills with a traditional 9-to-5 job, and while I can't tell you the secret to building a successful business, I could write volumes about how not to do it. So, today I'm going to share with you 3 fundamental things that I wish I'd understood 5 years ago. Without further ado, here's my surefire 3-step recipe for spectacular business failure. Number 1, leave your job to start your first business. In April of 2007, I marched into my supervisor's office with a letter of resignation and handed in my notice. I had no plan. In fact, not only did I not have a plan, we're going to get into that later, I had multiple plans that I tried to execute at the same time. I seriously believed, that if I felt good enough about what I was doing, if I had a positive enough attitude, I could just read books and recite affirmations and the rest would all sort itself out. I had no prior experience starting a business at all, unless you count the summer that I spent selling kitchen cutlery, which is a story in and of itself that I've told some of you. And let's just say that I was not rolling in dough at the end of that summer selling kitchen cutlery. I could fill a book with reasons why leaving my job to start the business was a bad idea, but there was one fundamental error at the center of it, which leads me into step 2 of my formula. Step 2, substitute excitement and passion for strategy. Be sure to make your business decisions while you're at the peak of a crest of emotional excitement, and make sure that you decide on what direction you want to go while you're too starry-eyed to see reality for what it is.
Wow.
You don't have a plan? No problem. You don't need to worry about petty little details like market research. That stuff doesn't matter. You just have to have a positive attitude and believe you can do it. It's kind of like jumping out a 3rd-story window. You just need a positive attitude. You don't need a parachute. So I had no plan when I went into business. In fact, I never did the same thing 2 weeks in a row. Week after week, I would think up a different business idea, of course, in a moment of excitement, and then I would go tell everybody that my business had changed again. As you might imagine, this led to a little bit of confusion on my part and the part of everyone else who was trying to understand what business I was in. At one point, I even thought up an idea. I was going to call myself a transformational energy consultant. Don't even ask me what that means. I don't even know what that means anymore. I went out to Staples that afternoon and had business cards printed with Transformational Energy Consultant on them. During this phase, I attended numerous business networking groups and I had coffee with more people than I could count. This activity felt good, and I knew that anything that feels good must certainly be leading me to success. So I look back on this whirlwind of unproductive activity, and it's obvious in hindsight that what I was doing had no real chance of working. But at the time, I couldn't see it. It's because of the 3rd critical error that I made that I was not able to see it, and with a little bit of effort and practice, you can make the same critical error. Error number 3 is do it all by yourself. You don't need any help. You're smarter than everybody else, and your idea is brilliant. What do you need any help for? You can think up all the answers by yourself. Don't listen to what anybody says. You might have some naysayers trying to tell you that your plan has to have a practical basis in reality, but forget it. Just ignore everything they say and charge blindly ahead. I did it, and, well, I was going to say it worked fine, but it didn't. If I were to go back and start over again in 2007, I can tell you right now, I would make it my first order of business to put together a mastermind or a team of strategic allies that could mutually help each other get where they're going. I would have done this before I printed business cards. I would have done this before making any strategic direction changes, and I certainly would have done it before quitting my job. In addition to a mastermind, I would also seek out a business partner. I would not have done the business by myself. I would have had at least 2 of us, possibly a 3rd. I'm not sure about that, but I definitely would not have gone it alone. I would seek out somebody with the right set of skills to complement mine, particularly those skills that I didn't have. And in fact, this is the kind of process I'm going through right now. At present, I do not own or operate a business. Some of you may be disappointed to learn that I did not bring any kitchen cutlery in order forms for you to buy today. But that's next week. I do intend to make another foray into business ownership. It may be a few years before that happens, but I intend to be in position and do it right the next time. In other words, I plan to make sure that there's water in the swimming pool before I jump off the diving board. However, if you would like to repeat my entrepreneurial belly flop, I can't promise you that you'll make a lot of money at it, but I can promise you that you'll have a lot of funny stories to tell about it afterwards. So here's my 3-step formula one more time. First, quit your job first and ask questions later. Step number 2, remember that good feelings alone are enough to pay the bills. And number 3, go it alone with no help from anyone. In 3 years, when you're eating ramen noodles in your car, we can sit down and have a beer and we'll have something in common. Toastmasters.